Everybody, welcome. Ralph Havens. Welcome, everybody. Ralph Havens here, autoimmuneanswers.com. And today's session, it came to me this morning as I was in my meditation and I was reading a really cool book. And as I thought of what I would call this session for us today, for you, I got a real pang right here in my body, some kind of ache, a pain, and it's because it's a story I think of what I noticed, what happened to my dad, and then what I've noticed with me and Jen and what's been going on, and I'm gonna tell you something I think will be really cool, an exercise to do in just a bit that can help you get real clear on what you want and how to get it in life, whether it's getting healthy or happy or whatever getting whole is for you, whether it's your business or your work or relationships or your health. So I'll give you a strategy that you might want to try, and it's really cool. So, when I was growing up, my dad used to always, stepdad, but my dad, since I knew anybody, I was like 2 years old, I think, when they got married. But he used to always, the mail would come and he'd say, hey, is there he'd say, did somebody send me a box of money? Did somebody send me a box of money? He was always like wanting money to magically just show up. And he smoked a lot of cigarettes, and he ended up becoming disabled. Some say it was because of an accident when he was a firefighter at the Air Force Base. Some thought it was from just smoking a lot of cigarettes. But for whatever reason, he had a lot of problems with his lungs, and he was technically disabled at some point. But even before that, he would always talk about, did somebody send me some money? If you only could get some money, a box of money magically appearing. And the funny thing is, somebody did. So when I was in third grade, my middle name is Charlie, and my uncle Carlos, Charlie, died in a car wreck when I was in the third grade. I was about 8 years old. And he was in a really cool fastback Mustang in Memphis, and hit a bridge, and that was it. And he had it's interesting. Before he died, my dad and him had a talk, and he was asking my dad what he should do. And they both thought, oh, he should get a life insurance policy. He was in the Navy, and just to make sure, and he thought, well, who should I give the money to? And my dad said, oh, you should give it to your dad, my granddad, because it could make him a real man. Those are his words. Kind of funny, huh? Very judgmental. My granddad was a cool guy. And so my grandparents came into a lot of money, and they thought, well, what are we going to do? So they had one house that, an adobe house. So an earthen house in Del Rio, Texas, about a mile from the Rio Grande from Mexico. And they thought, you know what, let's keep this house. Let's buy some other houses. With all this money, let's buy some houses. So they bought 2 houses on West Strickland Street, another house out by the San Felipe Creek, and they had money, and so they gave some of the money to my mom, our family, and some of the money to my mom's brother. So the rest of the remaining kids, and in today's dollars, it was about 300 and something, maybe close to $400,000 of money, and it was so it was, I think it was 30 something thousand dollars back then, and in Del Rio, a really nice house in a really nice part of town was about $10,000, so maybe $14,000, something like that. And so my grandparents were thinking, you know what, let's get it so that each of the kids can have a house and have some money and live a good life. And so so my dad ended up squandering it. Just to kind of give you the fast track version of this story, he blew it. He bought some land and outside of town, and he started to build this giant place. There was going to be part house, part clinic for my mom to do her work, and we traveled around and got my mom her PhD, or she did it, but we traveled around and she did that, and we were back in Del Rio going through tons of cash to build this place. And he didn't plan it very well at all. It ended up sitting there, and then the storms came and just blew it down, basically. And he started blaming the town. He thought somebody had blown it down. Well, it had been sitting there for a couple of years and nothing was happening. So the weather got to it. And so there he was again, and I was hearing the same thing, you know, with the mail would come. We were living in one of my grandparents' other houses, and for free. And my dad kept saying, anybody sending any money, a box of money in the mail? And it's like, dude, you got a box of money and you blew it. And so all these people were giving him, or my grandparents were giving him, you know, a free place to live, and they had given him all this cash, and it didn't help him really, you know. And so money's a funny thing like that. It's like, if something's not quite abundant inside, kind of like my dad, even if you're given a lot of cash, it might not work out very well. And we know, you know, money can be problematic if somebody comes into a lot of money as a kid and they never have to work for it. A lot of alcoholism and drugs like that. It can be problematic if you're raised in a poor country and you just don't seem to have any means to get ahead at all. You know, so there's like different things about how money can flow or not flow and what it means and stuff. And so as I was doing the session this morning and thinking about it and thinking about this video, I thought this would be a cool exercise to do to help shift some of these things. Sounds good, right? Like shift this kind of stuff. Because if you're not right on the inside, even if money comes your way, is it going to help you get what you want in life? You know, get healthier, physically healthier, or relationships, or get the life that you want. And so one thing to do that you might want to do, and you can even write this down and do this in a bigger way after the video, is think of what your vision, like what do you really want in life? What is it you really want? And just go deep with it, sit with it. And we could spend an hour with you in meditation with your eyes closed and really thinking about it and then writing down in detail all the things you want. So that's step one if you want to do it. What do you really want? What's your vision for your life? Not considering what you have or don't have, or is it possible how you would do it, but what's your vision? And if the way to do it was presented to you where you could see at least a little bit ahead that it was possible, if your vision, how committed are you to getting it? Like, are you out of 0 to 100, are you 100% committed? Like, no matter what, you're going to do this thing? Or is it like, is it conditional? Like, well, if I get a lot of money, or if, you know, the right people show up, or I find the right spouse, or, you know, if it just magically appears, I'll do it. But, you know, so is it like, how committed? Like a little committed, or a lot of committed? So you can check in on that, because if you're not committed, you might want to stop, right? And go do something fun. Yeah, but if you're committed to it, you might want to do it. And then here's a really cool exercise, is to write down all the actions that you can take. So you can brainstorm, don't limit yourself, don't put any filters on it. Don't say, no, it can't be that. Just without thinking, just start writing all the actions, all the things you can do right now. Like if you don't have the money to do something, you could still be infinitely resourceful. And how might you do it anyway? How might you start to do it? Would meeting with some people and brainstorming together help? Would researching things on the internet of how to do this project you want or what you want be useful? You know, what could be some of your action steps? And it's a cool exercise to do over and over again, you know, right? You know, look at your vision, look at how committed you are to it. If you're committed to it, what are your actions? And then making a decision to go ahead and start to do the actions. Like, what can you do today? And what can you do right now? And then the key is, of course, to do it. If you're committed, you'll do it. If you're not, you know, maybe not. And so that's what I have for you. Now, one thing I noticed, and it's what showed up, was I was thinking about this whole thing, and I decided to call it why it didn't work for my dad in the description of this video. It caused a little pain right here. And what I found is when you have your vision and when you have your commitment and you start to get the plan, even if it's just the first step and you don't know where the second step is, what can happen is deep subconscious and unconscious patterns can show up, things that are in the way of you getting that, of you doing it. And it's really cool because your body lets you know where it is. In my case, some of it was right here this morning. And so along the course of doing this and pushing limits and figuring out what we want and how committed we are to getting it, and some of the things that we're really passionate about, we're like, how do we do it? And in the past, we used to think, man, we need $1 million first. We need $1 million idea because we've got a big plan to help the kids and help the families and to get good information about vaccines and health and how to really thrive. But we need a way to do it. And it's like, hold a second. We're infinitely resourceful. We can start to do this even before we have a lot of financial means to do it. And so Jen and I have been brainstorming and coming up with some really cool stuff that I'll tell you about in the future soon. But what can show up is your deep inner beliefs, the deep subconscious patterns, the deep unconscious patterns, the stuff you don't even know that's slowing you down or standing in your way or stopping you. And we found over the last, I guess, year or so, a way to quickly find that and to dismantle it. So that as you go along with your action steps and things come up and push your buttons around money or health or relationships or whatever it is, you can quickly clear it and then go do the next action step. So if you're interested in that, there'll be links. I think it's in the description right now. If not, look for it in just a little bit. It'll be in some of the corners here. It'll be in the description below. You can go to www.ralphhavens.com/enlighten-up. And I've got a cool couple of PDFs and a hour-long video training and session if you want that. And then you'll be on our list and we can send you some more cool stuff about it. So go ahead and subscribe if you like this. Comment below. I'd love to hear what your plan is, your action plan. And let's get out there and live. Let's really live. All right, everybody. See you all soon tomorrow.